Call the meeting to order. All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can you get a roll call?
Sure. Wondergen, is absent. Vanek, here. Steffes.
Here.
Gardine. Present. Tampa. Here. Dehan.
Here.
And Hybor.
Here. We have a quorum. All right, so as a courtesy to the members of the audience and the Board of Education, please silence your cell phones. Public will only be able to speak during public comment if signed up. Do we have any? Good, all right. Moving right along, on approval of the agenda, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, the presentation from Central.
You bet. Well, we are very excited to have Mr. Gelmy and his crew here. Looking forward to this presentation. We'll turn it over to him. Mr. Gelmy, take it away.
Yeah, so come on up here, guys. So I'm just gonna kind of, oh man, where do I, oh, I gotcha, okay. Yeah, I think I'm good. So I've got Mrs. Van Huysen from our 4th grade classroom here. Then I have Ms. Helroom. And I've got Freddie Levering here. And they're gonna chat a little bit about what they're doing right now in their 4th grade class. So I'm gonna just move the PowerPoint and they're gonna chat, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, like Mike said, I'm Kelly Van Huysen. I teach 4th grade at Central. We were given the opportunity at the end of this summer to pair up with a student of mine from 1987. It's named Joey Sabin. He tells me that I taught a unit on the Iditarod. I guess back when I taught whatever I wanted. But that has been his lifelong dream to be in the Iditarod, and he's going to for the first time in March. And so we have been just in contact with him, doing different activities, right? You want to tell him a little bit about the Iditarod? You want to? Go ahead.
Here, I'm gonna give you the speaker, or the microphone, okay, honey? I'll just hold it up. All right, go ahead, go.
The Iditarod is a sled dog race in Alaska. This year is the 54th time for the race. The race is about 1,000 miles. It starts on March 8th this year and takes 8 to 15 days to complete. My favorite dog of Joey's is Monster. The mushers take 12 to 16 dogs. Joey's taking 16. Our class made blankets for all the dogs. We also wrote letters and sent dog treats. There are 26 checkpoints in the trail. We plan to keep up on how Joey and his dogs are doing. At the checkpoints, the musher rests and eats and takes care of all the dogs. My favorite dog is Rockstar.
We have a poster of all the dogs there. He's bringing 16 with him.
Wow.
And like if you click on that.
Right here?
Yeah. I think it just tells about his journey and is that the VOA racing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yep.
this one's actually the Iditarod. You want
Okay.
The other link?
Yep.
I can go to the other link.
Sure.
So he grew up in Grandville and went to...
Yep, all the way through Grandville, yep.
Mrs. Van Huysen?
Yeah.
He was my neighbor.
Really?
Yeah, he used to come with a diaper onto my door and ask if my younger daughter could play.
Oh my God, what a small world. I remember that. He cried for his mom a lot. Yeah. Yeah, this is a kind of a slow.
Yeah, it is a slow
Yeah.
website to get up.
Yeah, but he has, so it's VOA Racing, so that's what that link would take you to.
I'm hoping there's less snow here than enough for an Iditarod, but
We
yeah.
have been colder than Alaska
We have,
recently, yeah. So there's Joey in a picture of his dogs, and then his partner, I think might be in there, Willow. She also is a musher.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep, so they'll take turns.
Do you have a picture of Monster?
Yeah, that'll be on, I think on one of the other slides. If you
all right.
wanna.
How did you pick your favorite dog?
Well, I think I picked Monster because Monster looks really cute.
Yeah, so the girls told you what it's about. This is the 54th one. We're going to follow him on the checkpoints. They'll have like cameras and stuff so we can check in with him along the way. So that's a whole different program where we could have sent things to each checkpoint, but we chose this one, so. So what we've done is the kids have written letters to Joey, pictures. We made dog blankets for all the dogs. And one of my parents owns Zeke's Barkery, and so we sent a bunch of dog treats. And we also adopted one of his dogs, Hannah. So there they are. There we are making the blankets, and then that's my dog Leia. She's the model. So they're just made out of fleece. The parents donated all the fleece, and the kids made them all, and we sent them to Alaska.
Yeah, I want to add, I know that Senior Survivor is going on right now, and a lot of the funds that we do from Senior Survivor comes back to our buildings for our Student Assistance Fund. That's what paid for this stuff right here. They'll help buy all these things, and so kiddos can have this kind of experience in the classroom, so, yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, that's the post for the dogs. So they all have a favorite. Not all the dogs are in the race, but those are his. He's only taking 16 with him.
Only
So.
16.
Yeah.
There's the whole class.
Yep.
How awesome.
How long has he lived in Alaska now?
I don't know exactly. Quite a few years, I think.
Yeah.
I think his bio said 2017 he started
All right.
there. I don't know if that's when he moved there, but
Yeah.
that's when he started mushing. Yeah.
Started mushing.
So, and Azelle, she's our Senior Survivor partner. So she just came from a competition.
Wow,
So
nice.
thanks for doing both for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we've been up to.
So fun.
We can let you know how we place this and stuff.
Which one was Monster on there? Which
Yeah.
one was Monster in those pictures?
If you go back. Do you remember which one Monster is?
Come point to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do it?
You're a survivor. We know you can. Jason, stand up there.
Which one? This one?
The one
That one or this one?
This one is Rockstar.
That's Rockstar,
And the
okay.
one above is Monster.
This one or this one? All right.
The one to the left.
That one, all right.
All right.
Nice, this one's cute, look at the ears. That's awesome.
How fun.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, they used to do that
really cool.
also at South. So I can't remember if it was Mrs. Bear or Mrs. Vesno. They would track the Iditarod
Oh,
as it was
wow.
going through class. They would
Okay.
talk about speed and math, and they do all that really cool stuff with it
Oh,
too.
good, we
so-
can do some math. with
Yeah. Yeah. If Monster leaves the, going at 10 miles an hour, whatever.
So did he just reach out to you out of nowhere and?
No, so there's like a communications director, and then he reached out to Central
Oh,
and said, you know, are you interested? Do you want to get in touch with them? And I said, sure. So then me and Joey started talking.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So how long has he been doing this race? This is his first
This
time?
is his first.
Oh, no kidding.
He's done other races. He just got done with the Copper Basin, and he took, that's 300 miles.
Okay.
And he took 10 new dogs. So that, no intention of winning that, but the dog's got to get started
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it mentions right up here the different races he's been in. Looks like right here, he was in what's called the Copper Basin 300, the Yukon Quest 300, and this is his first time running the Iditarod.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
To learn. See
It's
that.
cool to see people come back.
All right. On to the next item, the consent action agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, regular action agenda, the WCET TV contract termination. It is recommended the Board of Education authorize district administration to terminate district participation within the agreement contract for the WCET TV Community Access Cable TV station. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So Dr. Merkel is with us he's on that committee and he'll tell you all about it.
It's a very illustrious board, of which I am the president. You probably didn't realize that. I expect a little more respect from the president.
What does that come with? Anything
Yeah,
special?
well, yeah.
Yeah, about as much as this
Yeah,
one.
$4 and it would get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But WCET, in the board write-up, I included the original contract because
Yeah.
I think it's important to note there that
Done on typewriter? Yeah.
yeah, at its time, was pretty innovative and a great thing to have for the community. But the reality is, it's outlived its life. And a couple of years ago, a great collaboration. It's kind of a fun board for me to be on because I get to go and the assistant soup from Hudsonville is on it, and the city managers from Hudsonville and Grandville, and some city council members. So we talk about a lot of great community things and the ability to cover great community things. We did a new strategic plan right before COVID to try to increase relevancy. We knew it was dying. But what we learned is that the reality is it's rooted in legality that doesn't allow us to do anything different. And so that's what has made it outlive its life. And so in conversation, we think we call it a transition because we think we can do better community collaboration between just our communities in a more progressive way that WCET doesn't allow us to do. And I just want to share a few things with that, and I'll answer any of your questions, because my guess is a lot of people didn't even know that we had a formal agreement with WCET. And a lot of people also didn't realize that WCET has actually been off the air for about 14 months, and we've had 0 calls of complaint. I mean, it speaks to the relevancy, unfortunately. But we had to shift everything to digital, and so we had to go through this. So we had to pause it. Well, they couldn't get up and running. And it was all through this piece. So it was founded in 1988 between the 3 communities and 3 school districts. Georgetown Township and Jenison actually bowed out a couple of years ago. They just didn't want to be involved anymore, but the opportunity was to use these PEG fees. When cable was new, this was part of the innovation. They required fees for the cable companies to come in and run their lines and use public utilities. They collected some fees from that to run public access TV with the intent, with an educational and a public community focus. So through the years, WCET would publish community events, 4th of July parades, the annual Hudsonville Fair, city council meetings were more recent, a more recent ad, school events, and then original content. The part of being a community access channel was that anybody could provide content. And it was a lot of churches would submit their content and it would be on there. Those who are Grandville people for a long, long time may remember Hot Tracks. That's the big thing. If anybody knew WCET, it was, oh yeah, Hot Tracks. Back in the 80s or 90s was a big deal. And you can still find it on YouTube. But like I said, church services and then those community events were the main things. And it was a channel on cable, on the cable access. But the reality is, these PEG fees and franchise fees were run through cable subscriptions. But the legality of a PEG fee is it can only fund equipment. So just like we talk about some of the restrictions in our funding for a school district, we can't fund operating the station. We can collect franchise fees, but those have gone down with fewer people utilizing cable. And as you can imagine, you see it with our operating bills, the cost for operating a station goes up. And so we've had trouble finding station managers and things like that. And we even went so far as to get an attorney, a legal opinion, or if there was a way around these PEG fees, like being able to operate the station with that, and you just can't. They had to change the law, and they're not looking at changing the law. So, and then the digital shift is the other one. The cutting the cable cord, people are. And so when you go back and you think about the content, churches, for example, they don't need WCET anymore. They're broadcast. I mean, look at the church where we hold our graduation. I mean, and that's a big church. But even the smaller churches, they're streaming their own content. They have their own YouTube channel. They put that out, and so the need isn't there. So our conversation is to evolve this collaboration. The city of Grandville and our school district are committed to doing what we can together to continue to be collaborative with community events. with a more direct connection. So we'll work more directly with the city. The city can redirect resources, so they can take those PEG fees and put them into other things. They can put it into a media manager and other things to stream things, but then they can also fund other ways to broadcast events. And so one of our ideas that we tried to do in involving WCET was we tried to connect the station with our AV club, and Mike Cox was brilliant, of course, to work with. And we started doing some neat things. One of the best things, we started a sports broadcasting club to do sideline and color commentary for some of our games and events. We can still do those things. In addition, we've already had conversation for our journalism classes to put out local content, cover community events, and do more broadcast journalism. Those are things we can do together more directly without the almost constraints of the cable access channel. So all of those community opportunities. One of the things we've talked about is you guys know this, but our AV program is top notch. I almost felt bad sometimes. I know this is live, I don't think anybody from Hudsonville is going to watch it, but our AV program was steps ahead of where Hudsonville was, and so we were all trying to do these things collaboratively, and we were just a little farther ahead. So we would have conversation about, well, we can't hire people through WCET. We were struggling to do that, but in an opportunity like this, the city could almost contract with our students to do side jobs of filming these community events and build their resumes and their video expertise profiles and things like that. So that's our recommendation. We can move forward without the constraints of WCET. It's a little sad, but it's the next step to move past that. So it's just a formality, because you saw the district sign the agreement. Our legal felt that it would be good to have board action to say, okay, our recommendation is to terminate that. What I wrote up is to authorize us to terminate it. In the past, in 1988, the superintendent signed it. So I'll ask Raj to do the same thing when that comes, and we'll terminate this agreement. WCET isn't anything that costs us necessarily money. In the end, it's going to benefit us, because one of the things is we're going to divvy up all the equipment. So I already sent Mike a list of, hey, here's all the equipment from WCET, anything you want, and I'm very excited about that. They have some nice cameras and equipment, because we had all those PEG dollars, and all we could buy with it was equipment.
So what's the funds that you refer to there?
Well, so funds, so right now, the city of Grandville elects to put in funds in addition to their franchise fees.
Gotcha.
So they're putting community money into it.
And that's what these PEG funds are.
No, the PEG fund, those are separate from the
Yeah.
PEG fund. The PEG funds are directly from the cable companies.
Okay.
Those are like
Okay.
cable taxes.
Okay.
So if you look at your
Okay.
cable bill, you should see a PEG fee on it.
Okay, all right.
So we pay nothing.
We paid nothing.
We pay nothing.
We pay nothing,
Yeah.
the city does.
That was my next question.
Correct.
Okay. Good.
The nice thing is, we already do this with our Grandville Athletics, right? They live stream things also, so we have that, and it
Correct.
feels like a cable station is, I mean, that feels pretty good.
Well, that's a good question, because it's not necessarily, well, I guess it depends on the sport, right? Okay, yeah,
Well, I mean, yes.
because some of them are the,
But that's what I wonder
Michigan
if that
Sports
can be
Radio or
expanded.
whatever it is.
Yes, and the MHSAA still does regulate some of
Right,
that,
yeah.
but a lot of, like, if you're building or updating a facility, and our gym might even have it, they have these huddle cameras, they're called. They're just mounted
yeah.
cameras now.
Well, you
They're
have to
just-
pay a fee. We
and they're
pay a pretty
streaming
big fee.
everything,
You have to
but-
buy the camera first and then pay the fee,
Right.
and it's by sport, so, right, like hockey has one, but, yeah, I'm glad that you're gonna partner more with AV across the board, and, I mean, we already have students who have gone on and they come and do all the sports casting, right, so, yeah, we've learned a lot with our
Yeah.
AV.
I hope we can, do more of the other events too, though, because that's the one thing I noticed that is lacking a little bit, right? Whether it be the concerts, right, or even the plays, right? If we can do that on a delayed, and it's not necessarily, it could be for the entire community, right? But I do think like some of the homes, the senior homes we have around where they can't get out, right? I know we've at times gone there and done like a truncated version of a show or something like that. But I think it might be a nice thing for some of those groups to be able to, that are maybe homebound. Because especially, I get the theater, it's a cost, right? That's a way for us to make some money, but all the rest of the concerts aren't, right? And there's no cost to get into a band concert or a choir.
Couple of questions
Yeah.
that we would need to investigate first. So like a play, for example, that play bill
Licensing fee, yeah.
is going to have a
Yep.
licensing fee
Yep.
in and around it. But you're right, what's usually those come with a delay type
Yeah.
thing or anything else. Same thing with a concert, a music
Okay.
concert, we pay licensing for whatever music they're
Yep.
playing.
Yeah.
Unless it's into public domain. But again, all things we can learn and figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, our AV department, I know I'm biased, but you know what? I mean, do you guys know that our AV department received an honor from NPR? That they got the best podcast in high school last year, which is for the suburban. If you have not listened to that, I'm telling you, you want to get a pulse on where kids are, listen to that podcast, because that is something.
And it is such a great cross-section of students and experiences, and what a diverse population we have. It's a huge gift. And so if we can do more, I agree with you that it is kind of limited. Okay, so we have athletics are working, and even not all the games, right? So that definitely has been something that, since I'm on that booster board as well, it's been something that we pushed for and paid for. So that's one of those things that has to be a discussion too. Like, we weren't paying for this, so we don't want it to become a burden financially again. But I think our
basketball put the
And the
huddle in.
expansion, that's an immediate impact of the expansion, because none of those things we were able to do
Right.
with WCET anymore.
Right.
Remember,
Yeah.
some of you may have seen the old WCE truck at some football games, some
Yeah.
basketball games, but they covered a very small amount
Yeah.
because they couldn't staff it.
Yep.
So we think we can do a lot better.
Good.
Onward and upward. Let's go.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Questions?
Thanks, Scott.
No, thank you guys.
We look forward to see what you guys come up with. Yeah, I'd love to see more coverage of our events. All right. Let's go ahead and, let's see, there's no cost to the association, so let's do a regular call. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, on to the next item. The 2025-2026 budget amendment. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the resolution within the 2025-2026 amended budget booklet as presented for the general fund. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Support.
And we'll turn things over to Heather.
All right. So just wanted to give you an update where we are versus where we were back in early June. So the proposed, we had a lot of unknowns at the time. Those have now become our knowns. So there wasn't a state aid budget in effect when we had our budget hearing. And we set a foundation allowance at the time of $10,000 per pupil. It came in at $10,050 per pupil, plus some adjustments to categorical funding. The blended count, we projected down 34 students to 5,500, and we came in at 5,498. I can not guarantee that that will be ever that close ever again. That was just luck. And I know we talked last meeting about the consensus revenue estimating conference in the state and their projection on membership, down 10,000 for the next couple of years. So I do anticipate when we start looking at rolling up our enrollment, we probably are going to have probably another little dip based just on birth rates for the year. So federal grants for 24-25 rolled over. The majority of what was rolled over is title funding, but title funding that's allocated to our non-publics. So that's the majority. We did spend all of our IDEA and all of our preschool IDEA and all of our title. So we did, the other piece to that is with the federal shutdown that occurred and then the extension of the budget, we just now, end of January, got our final allocation for Title I for this school year. So that was adjusted in the amended budget as well. And then we rolled up staffing levels from 24-25. We were able to finalize some FTE because in June, we know there's retirements, we know there might be resignations, but we don't have them finalized until this fall, in the fall, so.
So does staffing levels for the budget then remain constant?
Staffing levels are down slightly from last year.
Okay, so
Yep.
the initial was just rolling the numbers over, said, hey, everything's the same, but
Yep.
in the future, or for the amended, got it.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah, so yeah, when we have like known retirements, like we have probably a couple right now, what we do is we do roll them up as just a baseline starting point, and then we'll adjust as we go forward.
Got it.
So, just a reminder on the sources of revenue, you know, property taxes, program fees, and investments are our local dollars. And when we talk about program fees, we're talking a lot of, there's some Medicaid dollars out there, as well as Treehouse and preschool, and then fees for pay-to-play athletics, and entrance fees and stuff like that to sporting events. State money is basically the foundation allowance plus the categoricals. Some of those large categoricals include your special ed funding, your at-risk dollars, and a lot of the MIPSers retirement pieces that are involved there. So federal dollars, we're back to where we were pre-2020. So title IDEA, that is what we receive in Grandville. A lot of that is based on our census poverty population within the city and within the district. So we tend to fall free and reduced probably around 33% overall, which does have an impact actually on our at-risk funding, not so much on free meals anymore. But that's a different fund, so.
That's incredible.
What's that?
33%.
Yeah. Incoming transfers, that's mostly enhancement millage, and then some like Region 3 transportation costs. So a lot of that stuff that is between the ISDs and some stuff between Region 3 in terms of special ed billings that we do. And then the other revenue type is mainly our food service transfer for paying the general fund back for indirect costs. So when we look here, you know, proposed revenue, we were looking at 82.5 million, based on a couple of things, the change in the per pupil amount and the additional amount for at-risk funding and special ed categorical funding. We did see that state funding jump to the 53.6. It does reflect the reduction in the 31AA, which would have put us at 54.4, I think it was, because I think that was around $800,000 that hopefully was deferred, I guess, we'll put it that way, pending that lawsuit. Little bump in the federal sources, again, mostly Title I and IDEA. And then our incoming transfers are adjusted for our Region 3 transportation reimbursement. And when you see that Region 3 transportation reimbursement go up, there is an offset on the expenditure side because that means that our Region 3 transportation costs have gone up as well. So typically what we see is, well, like I think right now we have like 1.34 million in expenditure, and so 70% of that is returned back to the district, and that flows through the Kent ISD. So, moving on, you can see our federal sources for the year. I did include a couple of years back, so you could see where some of those other dollars kind of fell off. And like I said, we're back to about normal, if you will, in terms of the title and the IDEA funding. Just so you know, when we talk about Title I, we're talking academic intervention. Title II is instructional coaching mostly, and then that's also a piece where we have funding that we set aside for our non-publics as well. We have the language intervention for Title III EL and immigrant funding. And then Title IV is some academic enrichment. So that, again, is a little bit of instructional coaching. Also able to use it to cover some nursing costs. And IDEA is our special education flow through, and then our early childhood special ed. So again, when we look at like the object types in the budget, we're looking at salaries and benefits. That is the biggest portion of our budget. Approximately 84% is tied up there. Purchase services, if you think about all of our sub costs, this is really anything that's kind of like a contracted service outside of your salaries and benefits. So we have our custodial and then our daycare, and in addition to that, we have software costs as well. Supplies, majority of that is tied up in utilities and the building budgets. And just a reminder, if the buildings are allocated, well, this year it was 5% less, so it was $95 per pupil based on how many students they have in their building for K4. And then I think it was 125 for Oaks. And it goes up incrementally the higher or the grade level. So
has that been interesting in the shift with it just being K4 then in the elementaries and?
Yeah, I mean they've had to adjust a little bit. I mean, still you have your three larger buildings, right? Century Park, Cummings, and Grandview.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing now is Central is no longer the smallest building in the district.
I know.
So kudos, I guess. But they're not penalized.
Roof, right?
Yeah, they're not penalized. The buildings aren't penalized if they don't spend their money. We want to encourage, right, thoughtful spending. So we don't want to get to the end of the year and they feel like they have to spend their funding just to get something. So we do typically carry that over. Nice. Capital outlay, we have vehicles and equipment. And then other is those special ed transportation costs and the regional tuition. So we house 2 regional programs here in Grandville. We have a full continuum for regional ASD, and then we of course have our awesome transitions program as well. So, but like Byron, they host the MOSI program, so we do have students that attend there. Wyoming has the EI program, same thing. So we trade some invoices back and forth.
I think we had delayed like buying new buses or postponed it. Is that?
We did. We entered into the lease agreement for the current school year. We are in the process of seeing what the buyout would be, or whether or not we'll lease for one more year with them. The buses, with the passing of the sinking fund, we can utilize the sinking fund, but not until the summer of '27. So we might we'll have to see how things shake out budget-wise, but we might do one more year on the lease or potentially buy outright if the funds are available for that.
Right.
I do have, Arlen and Ryan and I, we're working through just a replacement schedule. I mean, we already have a replacement schedule, but we're going to dial it in a little more in terms of maybe not as many, but being able to utilize those sinking fund dollars and just have it planned out so that it's there for the future.
Does the company you lease from give you kind of like a scheduled depreciation rate that you can go by?
Yes.
Kind of? Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So what they'll do is they'll look at market value right now.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, but I will say, the transportation department's done a great job with that, because with that lease also comes X amount of miles. So they're making sure that those 3 buses are on shorter routes and such.
Mm-hmm. That's smart. You get the short
And then we take a look at the expenditures. So we ended 24-25 at 85,900,000. We did a lot in terms of savings through attrition between the end of the school year and the proposed budget. We are looking like we're back around 85,600, so a little bit less than where we ended 24-25. But some of it has to do with the contracts that we put in place. We did put in we did rearrange the steps, the scale. Everybody got a step, so it wasn't like necessarily a flat percent across the whole scale. And that was done strategically. It was good, working collaboratively with the GEA. There's also some, essentially, I want to call them a retirement incentive, but when someone leaves and they've had at least 15 years in the district, they're eligible for a sick day payout. And with this contract, they're also eligible for basically essentially a severance payout based on years of service. So some nice things to take, on the way out. That wasn't in the proposed budget initially, so I have those in there now. Let's see what else. So yeah, we adjusted the capital outlay for the bus lease. That was in there now as well. And then some of our utility costs and the carryover budgets from the prior year were added back in. So, sorry, that's just a regurgitation. Salaries were adjusted for actual staffing levels. Same with benefits. Benefits have been adjusted to account for open enrollment. Open enrollment in our district is calendar year, January through December. So we have our open enrollment in November, which allows us to know in December what the new levels are going to be for individuals. So we can plug that in there. There is like a little bit of shifting usually between those who are going to take insurance benefits versus cash in lieu. So it's usually kind of a wash between how many change each way, if you will. And we've talked about the rest of those items. So this is a chart that I started putting in the last 2 years. And this year I added the student count at the bottom so we can kind of just go through. You can see the total number of employees. Those are the 6 main categories that we track. Everybody's assigned to one of those categories, but that's how they lay out over the past 5 years. And you can see, our staffing levels are still, based on student count anyway, they're still higher than what they were in 2022 when we had more kids, like 90 more kids. So I don't know if you have any questions on this one or need a bit to look at it.
Clerical and support, I guess, I'm just looking here, percentage-wise.
Yeah, so you in that category, you have all of your building support staff, so your office support staff. You have all of your paraprofessionals. You have shoot, I'm trying to blank. Library, media. I'm trying to go through the contracts right now, and I feel like I'm missing one.
Food service would be in there, except for
And cafeteria.
Correct, yeah, food service. But you do have.
I think to answer that most easily, and we tracked it back to like 2020 when we looked at our support staff. And from that year up to 2025, we steadily increased. And we cut back significantly on the number of parapros to begin our year, but we're back to where we were. And part of that is just we have kids that need the support, right? So like we look at it and we try to reset every year, but in doing so, we know that we're going to have other kiddos that are going to need some support, some buildings that are going to need some support. So coming out of like the kindergartners this year were born during that COVID year. right? And so as we've kind of seen some of those behaviors increase, we just wonder if going into 26, 27, 28, if we take out some of the cloud that was created during that 18-month window, if we start to see some shifting in that. But most of that growth is related to parapros, hourly employees that we need to help support our kids so that they can be in school.
Yeah, I can see like the other areas that's, you're adding with buildings, right? So your staff's going to go up in some of those. I was trying to figure out for the, I'm just trying to understand the change rate.
Some of that may be playground supervision?
Yeah, there'll be some playground supervision, and even the lunchroom supervision can't be charged to cafeteria, so that does fall under there as well. That's a great point, and I thank you, because I did miss that just a minute ago. When we talk utilities, we had Oakstown, right, was shut down, right, in terms of, so they could just go through and get it taken care of. That year that it was shut down, those utility costs are funded through the bond. So that's the other piece to this. You'll see some swings in the utilities, because now basically pretty much every building is fully going to be funded through the general fund now, because those bond dollars are gone, those projects are complete. So. So in your packets, I know I gave you the budget book, and then, I make this presentation off of that. So we're looking at about I think it was $1.7 million or $1.083 million shortfall for the current school year. It does bring us down to $6.73 million fund balance projection at the end of this year, or 7.09%. We are working through a lot of areas right now. We met with our admin team last week. We have individual meetings with each administrator this week, and then next week with each of the supervisors. We've gotten a lot of good ideas. We've looked a lot at our printing costs. And so I know. As soon as you guys tell me you don't want that anymore, I will gladly stop printing it for you. But there's a lot of things we've talked about. We've talked about digitizing a lot of forms. And one of the things that we've taken care of in our office alone is that monthly P card is no longer printed. And Katie Dunning is the one who's responsible for working through making sure the charges are legit and they're charged to the right accounts and there's the backup and all that. But it was pretty fun Friday when she showed me the stack from the July P card versus the current one. And we're down to like very, very little. And that'll continue, that soon that will be eliminated. Some of that had to do with just the timing of trying to go digital right before Christmas break and that. So, but the next ones will be pretty much everybody will be digital. So, and I know the buildings are talking about that with their staff and et cetera. So, other things that we've identified, just unplugging things, right? There are certain things that really don't need to be plugged in throughout the buildings, and our principals will have those conversations at their staff meetings and such. So, fund balance. Oh, as a per pupil fund balance, so that fund balance would be about $1,104 if you wanted to look at it on a per pupil basis. And then, and we always talk about this, right? Backing out, like the fund balance is a percentage of expenditures, of total expenditures, but after you back out the UAAL and the federal grants, you're looking at like a 7.88%. And the state has a couple different calculations they look at before they send you things for early warning, which is below the 5%. So. And then this is just there for showing you the fund balance history. I would really love to get that back up around that 9-10%, and just from a sustainability piece, assuming that funding was consistent, I think that's pretty easy to do. the challenge is the funding though.
When, I think you said this before, but when do you kind of consider the code red, percentage that, you're really kicking into a little bit of panic mode?
Probably right now.
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
If you ask her, it'll sound different than if you ask me. And I say that because, obviously, she is always looking at numbers, and there's so many things that we're not sure about. When I started, we were below 5, and that was panic mode. Because you're very close to, the state coming in and dictating a lot of things you do. It took a long time to build up, and then when we did, we got to, we had that policy that the board said we don't go below 7, and if we do, then there's certain things that we have to consider. So, and now, that's where we're at. So when Heather says now, it's now because that's where we're at. Could you go down lower? You could, but then it starts, it's tough to get out of that, especially in the cycle we're in. I've seen in 37 years this kind of a ride financially in schools, and right now we're kind of here. So I know Heather, knowing what that trend or pattern is, now is that time. I've seen it go down and I've seen it go up. Could it go lower? Yes, it was. You can see even in 17 it was 6.84. It was lower than that in 2015, and we built up, as you can see, and now we're on that cycle, unfortunately, with some of that down. But the good thing now is that we know what those cycles are like, and because we have a 7% floor, if you will, that you've said, it allows us to take more action instead of saying, well, we could go lower, or we could, do that. And that's how we ended up getting there the last time. Rockford, as an example, is very low, very low, a lot lower than us. And they've ridden that forever. They have always been around that. A lot of times we're around that 5 mark.
When does the state, is there a point when the state says that's where we're sending in an emergency management team?
That would be if you were a deficit district. So that would be, going the obviously going the other way. The early warning for the state is the 5%. They don't necessarily send in an emergency manager, but you have to do a lot of paperwork and extra submissions to them so that they make sure that you are on track.
They start dictating a lot more of how that's going to go, starting at that 5 mark. So one of the things that we have here that not every district has is, back in that time frame of being below 5%, we moved to payrolls on the 8th and the 23rd of each month. And we did that intentionally because the 23rd is the latest you can get your state aid payment. So to make sure that we had enough to be able to make payroll. We did not have to borrow during that time. We had some creative things that I really do. At least I've been through it, so I know what we can do. But if we got closer to that 4.5, we would probably need to look at borrowing just to make sure that we were able to make our payroll and such.
So what's next, right?
Yeah.
What do we do?
So what's next is, like I said, we'll continue to meet with our team. We have some ideas from the staffing side of things. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I think the first thing we did with our principals, and I asked them to go back, is we went through a practice of getting groups to brainstorm, and no idea is a bad idea. Threw all that at the fly paper and saw what stuck. And then we started talking about our paper copies, because it's an easy trim. Venture a guess how many copies we make in a year on average as a district? 9 million. You cut that by 25%, you can save $200,000 in just copy cost, not toners, not printers, not repairs. It's just saying one page, essentially one page per kid per day, K-6, and one page per kid per teacher per kid per week at the high school. We would save around $200,000 just in copy costs.
My question as a former
Yep.
teacher would be though, I mean, I remember when I was still teaching, I was creating a lot of my own curriculum, which meant I had to go online, which meant I had to generate stuff off of that material and then recreate it. And then the only way that I could present it and have my students use it was if I printed it off.
Sure.
So are there steps being put in place so that is not necessitating that kind of use of paper?
Well, so that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why you have everybody pull together and say, what are some ideas that we can have?
Okay.
So if you had 135 kids in your class and you printed 155 copies to make sure you had 20 extra copies for the kid that lost one, even though they could receive it via email, you just saved 20% by only printing 135,
Okay.
right? So it's some of those pieces that we're just asking our folks to start thinking about. Heather mentioned plugging in refrigerators, coffee makers, rice cookers, heaters, those kinds of things are those things that we need to look at.
Have you guys
We're
looked
asking-
at, have you also looked at, I mean, I've had talks before, even with Arlen, about the lights on in parking lots and in South, right behind my house, and
Yep.
all those other things. I mean, that's huge, because those lights are on all night. And so, I mean, I know the poor middle school was on nonstop for the first year. I haven't followed through to see what it's like now, but.
All those things we're digging into and we're looking at. We're looking at all of our contracts and all of our purchase services and saying, are there things that we don't need to be able to roll back? So we're digging in on all of those pieces, but that's why we're asking our staff to look at it so that they can work with the building leaders and say, you know what, I think this is something that we can do. I think this is an area that we can commit to. Because we're so large, those small scale moves matter. A small scale move in different places, if everybody's doing it, matters. And that's, 700 employees, those small scale moves really matter. And so whether it's copies, plugging things in, unplugging things, making sure you turn off the lights when you leave the room, making sure you turn off all the computers when you're not using them, if you're in a computer lab, turning off TVs, looking at the lights that you have in the exterior, find out when those need to be on, when those need to be off, all of those things matter. And we're talking about all of those things before we even say, we need to look at staffing and make sure that we're still good there.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that we're in the midst of, again, throwing ideas at the wall and see what sticks to fly paper for a little bit before we start making any of those moves. But we're digging in on all of those pieces because whatever we can preserve now takes that percentage and bounces it up. The closer we get to 8, the more comfortable we are. The closer we get to 9, even more comfortable we are. And I think there are meaningful things that all of us can consider and look at before we start looking at staff.
We've like, and Walter can speak to this too, from the tech side of things, a lot of TVs in those buildings, right? He's able to set those up on a timer so that those can go off too. So they shouldn't be on over the weekend necessarily, right? Like, I think the hard balance is we have a lot of activities in our buildings, and so that does regenerate a lot of electricity, right? I mean, and the middle school, I know initially there was some issue with the units and making sure that they were scheduled on and off at the right time because it was only partially complete at that time.
That was interior lights too, right?
And like I said, then that was partially a construction piece because they were it wasn't fully finished. It finished enough to have occupancy, but not to do what it was supposed to do. But that middle school is busy. I mean, the high school is busy. Oakstown is busy. So, which is great. We want that for our kids and our community and our families. But there's an offset, right?
Yeah, you look at it, I mean, there's so many vampire electronics, right? Whether they be Wi-Fi, that you're not using a third of the day, right? So if you look at a third of the electricity those things are sucking, there's no one in the buildings, for a third of the day. So how do we figure out even some of those costs, right? But
Is the heat like on a timer?
Yeah.
That already is?
Yeah.
That's a tough one because those are big buildings to try to warm back up.
Yeah, that's what I
Listen,
was,
my kid complains about it enough that it gets down to 55 degrees in my house, right? I can only imagine trying to get a whole building up to temperature. Okay, all right. Well, appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. We have faith in you, Heather. All right, any other discussion, questions? All right.
Thanks, Heather.
All those in favor of accepting the new budget amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, here we go. Wireless network infrastructure refresh. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the purchase and installation of the 304 Ruckus wireless access points in the amount of $291,760 from Vector Tech Group. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Yeah, so this is the replacement of most of the wireless access points throughout the district. We just talked about saving budgetary costs. I'm happy to say that this project is primarily paid through bond dollars and then also a percentage of federal E-rate dollars that we applied for as a grant. So this would replace the access points in most of our buildings. The reason why it's not all of the buildings is we're able to take and shift some of the newer wireless hardware and shift it to smaller buildings like Central and cover those buildings. And then a building like the middle school that's relatively new already has pretty new wireless network hardware in it, so we're not looking at replacing that system.
It's a lot of paper for just those two rules.
Yeah.
Thought you were going into some really detailed ones. So you're able to switch that out because it's newer equipment and it covers a broader area or a larger area, or? I don't understand
not necessarily. So, for example, at the middle school, we're able to balance the power of the access points in the classroom. So we were able to recover some of the additional access points from the middle school and then take those access points to cover a smaller building like Central with some of the newer hardware. So that lowered the overall number of access points that we had to order.
All right. All right, for the audience, this is how much paper it came with this one item. That's why I thought there was more discussion come from.
Yeah. Heather and I, we discussed, maybe in the future we don't necessarily need to include the big stack of paper. We could do that digitally.
Agree with that.
Yeah, I appreciate the specs on this and how
Thank you. Yeah.
Auto
send it
MDI,
over as a
MDI.
PDF to your iPads.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Any other questions? All right, let's do a roll call vote on this one.
Okay. Campbell.
Yes.
Gardine.
Yes.
Dehan.
Yes.
Cephas.
Yes.
Wondergen. Absent. Benek, yes. Highworth.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, and then on to the next item, the wireless network infrastructure refresh. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the purchase and installation of a Cisco 9400 core network switch for a total purchase price of $77,659. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
So this is the replacement of the core network switch that lives here in the data center at the administration building. So all of the network equipment throughout the district, it's kind of a star topology. So there's a network switch closet throughout all the buildings in the district. They all feed via fiber back to the core switch in this building. So that core switch network really keeps the district running as a whole. That piece of equipment actually dates all the way back to 2008 when I first started at Grandville Public Schools. And then we did a minor, like a card controller upgrade to it. I believe it was in 2013. So that bumped the speed a little bit. What we're looking at replacing it for now is Cisco is going to no longer support that piece of hardware. So we don't carry support contracts on some of the edge network switching equipment that we have in the district, because if an edge network switch fails at the high school, for example, I have spares on the shelf. I can take one out, put a spare in its place, and we're, not major impact. We do carry support on the core switch here at the administration building, because if that piece of equipment dies, then we're looking at no internet, no phones, no security cameras, major things like that. So this would replace that piece of equipment with a brand new core switch. Not only obviously would it be covered by the support agreement, but it also includes some additional speed and, upgrade technology, things get faster. So.
Walter, are all the fire panels attached to those core switches too?
They're actually not.
Okay.
So the fire panels in the district use a cellular data connection as their primary. So when there's a fire in the building, they send the signal out that way.
Okay, thank you.
How long do these last once?
So,
Yeah. They last that long?
A core switch piece of equipment like this, I would expect to get at least 10 years out of it. Obviously, we were able to extend the life of our existing piece of hardware pretty far. I can't promise that we get that many years out of it, but I would expect at least 10 years out of it.
Do you get to take this one home?
Well, it's about the size of this podium.
Yeah,
so
you could use it as a
I was going to say, you probably had
Yeah.
a cabinet, or you probably had a closet, and now you need a cabinet for this new piece of equipment? 'Cause
No,
it's
actually, so
got
as
bigger?
technology, the new one is about half the size of the.
Okay, so it got smaller. All right, yeah, fair enough. All right.
That's good.
Good. Any other questions?
Just a comment, the timing, we just showed you an amended budget, and you see what we're trying to do. This funding is different than that, how we talked about funding is different in different things. For example, if you look at the wireless network infrastructure, you can see that was 2024 bond, federal E-rate reimbursement. So those things aren't coming from that same money that, in general, we just showed you. There are specific areas where specific money can be taken out of it. So when you see 77,659 as an example, and see where the funding source is, just want to remind you of that, because I think it would be easy to go, well, heck, you just told us we're not doing the best, but now you're spending 224,000 and 77,000. So
In that
that's
same
why.
vein, is that, so because so much of our funding, right, like we get funded now for things that came through last year, a year and a half ago, is that the same thing with this E-rate federal funding too? So this is an old grant that is now in fulfillment, or?
So we apply, the federal government gives us so they reimburse us for our internet connection. That's one category of funds. They reimburse us, they have what's called Category 1 funding. That will do things like pay for the core switch. So we have a budget per year for that they'll reimburse us. And then they have something called Category 2 funding. That will pay for things like edge network for the wireless system that we're asking for here. We apply for that grant annually. They give us a budget, and then depending on there's a whole bunch of political factors that come into play there, but they'll approve a certain percentage. So in this instance, we apply for the whole percentage or the whole amount that we're going to purchase, and they'll come back and say, we're going to fund that at 47%.
All right, does that then apply, this one has already been applied for and approved?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
We have to actually purchase it though, submit that information for them to be able to reimburse us. So that will take, the reimbursement fees will take a little bit.
Okay, so, all
We
right,
probably won't get the reimbursement until the fall,
okay.
so it'll end up being in the next.
But that is a
quarter.
promised reimbursement that is not like, because some of our grants have been yanked back, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what makes you
that's what I'm
nervous.
wondering.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, that we do receive a commitment letter from them saying, we're committed to giving you this funding.
Okay.
For what that's worth.
Just check it.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, do roll call voting.
Okay. Hunter Jones absent. Campbell.
Yes.
Benek, yes. Stefas?
Yes.
Gardine?
Yes.
Dehan?
Yes.
And Highboard.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. And then the last item we have on the reports discussion, the superintendent search update. So just to give you guys a quick update of where we are there. So Bob and I spoke with, we came in, we spoke with Roger, got an opportunity to speak with Roger, been in contact with MASB about getting in a consultant to help with the search. And that is going to be Mark Palmer. Mark is someone from the east side of the state. He's worked in Shepherd School District, Fowlerville, Lake Orion, Clinton. He's on the Clinton County Board of Education. Right now, he's filling in as a principal at the Kalamazoo Career Connect campus, kind of as a part-time, or not a part-time gig, but a contract gig for them. So he's going to be coming in and helping us. Our first meeting, we talked about, obviously, all February 11th. We're going to do 7 p.m. just because that's the way we've always done it. He was fine with that time, so try to keep some consistency there. Some of the guidelines that we've shared with him is obviously starting with an internal search, right, and going that route, and then with a target of being completed with this whole process by spring break. So he's going to come in February 11th, speak with us, talk a little bit about what that timeline looks like. We'll finalize our posting. He'll get that out right away. That'll start the clock, which usually is a post of 10 working days. And then we'll talk through, like I said, the entire process when he's here. There's things we need to agree on about, hey, how do we want to approach getting any type of feedback from different stakeholders. And we'll talk through that a little bit, and then what that interview process looks like, and the timing there. So it's going to be nice. Hopefully it's going to be good. That it's relatively low fee for us, and we've got some discounts available too, which I'll fill out those applications to get that for us. So hopefully it's not going to be too much of a, it won't cost us that much to get this whole process taken care of, which is good, right? Especially when we talk about the things we've got going on right now when it comes to funding. So I guess any questions I can answer for you guys now at this point, or
the process of posting the opening and such, that's you know how that's going to all work?
Yeah, and that's like I said, we'll finalize and agree upon the posting, when he's here, and then he'll get it posted probably through Holly or Raj. We'll get it posted, and we talked a little bit about it, but and I haven't talked to Raj about this. He's probably already on top of it, but getting maybe just a section on the homepage with a drop down, hey, superintendent search, right? We'll give some of the key dates and things that we've got going on, and when those meetings will be, and so forth. So, but we'll get that going on the social media side as well. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll keep moving forward. All right. No public comment right now. So the next regular meeting of the Grandville Board of Education will be Monday, February 16th at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. And then a special meeting we talked about will be on the February 11th at 7 p.m. here in the building. So with all that, we are adjourned.